Alright, so Miss Ferenzi was a terrible teacher. At first when we meet her as a sub, she comes in and like her demeanor is kind of like off. Like at first she said they didn't do the pledge because she just wasn't in the mood to, which really isn't that bad. But when you add up everything else that she does, it's like it adds up. When she starts teaching, the author and or the narrator kind of like tells us like she doesn't really care about what she's teaching in the material, but like she's like sighing all the time and like she's just trying to get through it and she's not enthusiastic about it. And then later on, she's like trying to be more friends with the students than like their teacher. She eats lunch with them and like she starts to change her lessons to go from what they're actually supposed to be learning to um, basically she talks about like Egypt and stuff and all this made up stuff, and like it seems like she's trying to be more friends with them than an actual teacher. Um, she teaches them everything basically wrong. Like 6 times 11, she says, "Yeah, that's 68 in the room," when that's never 68. And she tries to say like when you get higher level math that it could be 68, which is not true. She tells the narrator that he doesn't have to like spell balcony on his spelling quiz because she didn't like the word either. And she also tells the kids that George Washington really wasn't the first true president, and that the Egypt tombs weren't about pharaohs and all their treasures, but they're really just magical places. When these are all obviously lies. She also talks about how like they're fish at the bottom of the ocean, but nobody really knows much about them because once you bring them up and they react with oxygen, they explode, which is also not true. And then like finally like the conversations she has and like the things she says to these kids is like you don't say that to a kid. Like the first thing she said, like her first day, she was like staring is a sign of bad breeding. And like that's just like a weird thing to say to a bunch of elementary school kids. And then she like kind of like went off when the kid Kelly, because he was messy and he was like looking for his book, and she was just saying like how humans have to be all neat and stuff, and like she kind of like yelled at him a little bit when she didn't really have to do that because like he's a messy kid and a lot of kids are messy in elementary school, but she kind of like went off on him because he was messy. And then after she comes back, like her third day substituting, but it was like after a couple months, her first fortune, she basically tells a girl that like her life is like going to be like boring and she's basically going to live a housewife life. And like you don't tell a little girl in elementary school that you're going to be a housewife life. She tells kids that men are like strong and women are magical, so like a man will always love a woman because they're magical, but women will never really love men. And then finally she tells the last kid that like his life is basically like going to like suck, he's going to carry a lot of weight, and then he's going to like die soon. Like the things that she says to these kids, like you don't say that. And then she doesn't even teach them the right stuff, and like everything was wrong about her. But the kids like liked her because she was different and stuff, but she was definitely a bad teacher.